Here.
Mrs. Frankel? Here. Oh, did we call Mary?
Oh, no.
Uh,
Brooke's gonna do it, okay. So we have to call Mary.
She off?
Today's Monday.
Oh, that's Monday.
Mary spoke to you.
Rather do that.
It's okay,
Hi, Mary. Okay, we're on roll call. Mr. Klein?
Happy to be back.
Mrs. Fiella?
Here.
Mrs. Quackenbush?
Here.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Here.
Mr. Spindell? Mrs. Wallace? Mr. Banta?
Here. Join me in the flag salute. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Fair Lawn Board of Education has caused notice this meeting to be published by having a date, time, and place thereof, distributed to the persons on the approved list, posted in the Board of Education Administrative Office, sent to the record and in community news. The announcement posting for the regular monthly meeting along with the date, time, and place thereof was distributed on June 27, 2016. Items to be discussed during closed work session of the regular monthly meeting. They include personnel matters, student matters, legal matters, negotiations, and/or grievances, tactics, and techniques utilized in protecting public safety and property. The results of these discussions will be made public as soon as possible. I have a motion of approval of the regular monthly meeting minutes of July 11th and executive closed session of July 11, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I'm going to take a minute first to welcome Dr. Ernest Pulaski. And he was today here with me and Lisa, well, mostly with Lisa, I was going to get something. Greeting the new teachers, 48 brand new teachers today. They weren't all brand new, some of them were very experienced, some of them were, but they all looked eager and ready to go. I spoke for a couple of minutes, and Lisa ran with them. And Natalie and Joanne and Dr. Plus was open. This was his opening line. Good morning, I'm a teacher. That was great. Okay, so they know, that's where he's coming from.
Thank you.
I guess at this point, Dr. Bliss, there's not much to report, but we said we were going to make a comment or two.
Well, let me begin by thanking the Board of Education for your faith in me, and certainly, I promise to work on behalf of the students, the board, the community of Fair Lawn. This is an exciting place to be. I think it's a wonderful opportunity, and I look forward to working with all of you. It is, it's a refreshing time. And this morning, as Jean mentioned, we had a very nice new teacher orientation, which I think was almost uplifting in terms of the spirit of it. It was so nice to see 48 new staff members to the district, enthusiastic, ready to go, being introduced to our teacher evaluation system, being introduced, I think, to the culture. And what impressed me the most was the combination of the enthusiasm of our staff. We had representatives that really focused on a cross-section of our school community. Members of the association were there, leadership from the Principal and Supervisors Association, the board, superintendent, the central office. It was a good morning and a good way for me to start. Then after that, I embarked on trying to reduce all the paperwork that was on my desk, but it worked well. I especially want to thank my central office colleagues for this month of August. So I've remarked to several of you that I think we did a wonderful job of communicating electronically. We got a lot done, and certainly all of you, I know, picked up the slack and worked harder because I wasn't there. But we did a good job, and I think we're ready to go. The buildings look like they're in good shape. Staffing looks like we're in good shape, and the attitude in the district, I think, really is terrific. Fair Lawn, as you know, is well renowned in the state of New Jersey as an educational leader. So I'm proud to announce to you this evening that we received recognition once again from New Jersey Monthly Magazine, and the issue that came out today, I believe, has us ranked within the top 100 high schools in the state. Our ranking was 72. That compares with what it had been 2 years ago. That's a tribute to the parents. That's a tribute, obviously, to the students, the staff, the board and administration, and the community as a whole. And really, a school district is a reflection of the community, I believe, and I've always believed that. And this is a great community in which everyone really works together. And for those, every time a high school receives accolades, I always think of the teachers in kindergarten who helped that happen years ago. So it's a really tribute to all of you. And then finally, my final comments are Happy New Year to everyone. So I see a couple of, I woke a few of you up. So what do you mean Happy New Year? Well, I'll be talking to the staff when I meet with them, I believe it's on Friday, about this is my Happy New Year. I'm getting ready. January 1 to me is just another calendar day. But I explained to the teachers this morning that I'm a teacher, so I'm on a different biological clock, I think, than everyone else. My New Year's Day is the first day. And it always seems to be that day right after Labor Day. So to me, that's my milestone. I get ready for the school year. I look forward. But there's a lot of symbolism to looking at this as our Happy New Year. Think about what it is that individuals in our society do on the other New Year. They make resolutions. They try to say, all right, this year I'm going to do something better. And this year I'm going to lose weight. And this year I'm going to, maybe we're going to take a trip. And they have a whole list. Schools and teachers and administrators need to be thinking along those lines. It's a new year. Everybody has a fresh start. We have an opportunity to make this a great year by working together. So I want to conclude by saying Happy New Year to all of you. I'm sure it will be prosperous. And I hope we have a nice board meeting, and I look forward again to working with the board, with the community, the staff, and our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Okay, I'm going to change the order around a little bit. Superintendent's going to do the agenda, then we'll do the public comments, then whatever the board wants to say after that. I want to get through the agenda and get through the public comments, and then old business, new business, board comments, we'll just do that afterwards. And I'm not going to stop any from anything, we're just going to combine it like into one. And so let's go, we have a pretty big agenda. So S1, approval of suspension alternative program. S2, resolution to disenroll student. You gonna hold that for after? No? Okay. Oh, you did put the update. Okay. S3, approval of the 15-16 annual health service plan report. S4, approval of home hospital instruction. S5, ratify approval of students for graduation class of 16. E1, attendance and conference prevention workshop. E2, approval of extracurricular trips. And E3, approval of student teachers, interns, practicums, field placement observation. E4, approval of bedside home instruction. E5, approval of agreement for non-public school textbook initiative. E6, approved summer workshop. E7, approved conditions / change to summer workshop. E8, approval of district curriculum. E9, approval of marching band competition. E10, acceptance of NCLE grant funds and application submission for the 16-17 school year. E11, approval of student transition program 16. P1, approval of disability retirement non-certificated personnel 16-17. P2, approval of resignation non-certificated personnel 16-17. P3, approval of resignation of certificated personnel, 1617. P4, approval of resignation of custodial personnel, 1617. P5, ratification of appointment of lead bus driver, 1617 fiscal year. P6, ratification of approval of appointment of certificated personnel, 1617. P7, appointment of certificated personnel, 1617, not certificated personnel. P8, approval of appointment of secretarial clerical personnel, 1617. P9, reassignment of paraprofessional personnel, 1617. P10, approval of health-related services, 1617. P11, ratification of approval of promotion custodial personnel, 1617 fiscal year. P12, approval of leave of absence without pay custodial personnel, 1617 fiscal year. P13, approval of non-certificated day-to-day substitutes, 1617 school year. P14, approval of change and assignment of non-certificated personnel, 1617. P15, approval of leave of absence without pay child rearing certificated personnel, 1617. P16, approval of nursing services to non-public school and enter into agreement with County of Bergen, 1617. P17, approval of nursing services to non-public school and enter into agreement with County of Bergen, 1617. P18, approval of nursing services to non-public school and enter into agreement with County of Bergen. We'll stop there. We're going to have a motion for S1 through P18.
I'll move. Second.
Any discussion from the board about any of the items? Jeff? Okay, Jeff and then you, Mayor.
I just have a quick question. For P4, is there a custodian being replaced, and if that custodian is being replaced, is it being done through Aramark, or is he being replaced through a union position?
The heating technician
Yes,
is not an hour.
not an Aramark. Okay.
It's actually, as you read further on, you'll see.
I saw on P11 that there was. Okay. My second question is, I guess I'm looking at, I don't know if we nickel and dime here, $67,000 for a French teacher on the first day. I know that this has been a conversation that's come up before. There was no other qualified or good teacher that could have started less than $67,000 a year to start?
Absolutely.
That's a tough pill to swallow. Also, just for the record, I'm voting no on 6B for the music teacher out of wanted to see a different name there, someone we previously know.
Mary?
I think it's E3, but I'm using my computer and it's not easy to find it. It's the student teachers practicum. Every year I say something about how grateful everyone is to accept them, and I do want to say again, a special thank you to the teachers who take them on, because it is a big responsibility, but it's a wonderful way to pay ahead. It's the right place for student teachers to be. Okay.
I agree, Mary. Thank you. Mike?
I just have a question for Lisa. Lisa, are we, with the people that we're hiring tonight, are we all set? Is there any positions that are open? Like teacher positions that are open?
There's
Yeah.
one position, one special ed position we're still looking for.
Good job.
Any, Mike?
Yeah, good job.
Any other board members? Any members of the audience, anything, questions on the agenda items we were talking about? Could I have a roll call?
Mr. Barbarulo?
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes on everything but P6B, which I hope you know.
Mrs. Piella?
Yes.
Mrs. Quackenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes for everything except P6B, no.
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 Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Banta?
Yes. Okay, P19, allocation of funding nursing services for public schools 16-17. P20, allocation of funding nursing services to non-public schools 16-17. P21, allocation of funding nursing services to non-public schools 16-17. P22, salary adjustment to higher degree status 16-17. Got a lot of people moving. P3, approval of change of assignment certificated personnel 16-17. P24, rescission of appointment of certificated personnel 16-17. P25, approval and rescission of fall sports personnel Schedule C positions 16-17. P26, approval of extra instructional time certificated personnel 16-17. P27, appointment of personnel Schedule B positions. P28, appointment of Schedule B, schedule differential 16-17. P29, ratification of approval of appointment of non-certificated personnel. P30, appointment of custodial personnel 16-17 fiscal year. P31, approval of appointment of community school personnel 16-17 school year. P32, approval to amend appointment date non-certificated personnel 16-17 school year. P33, ratification of interim superintendent's contract 16-17 school year. P34, approval of leave of absence without pay, non-certificated personnel 16-17. SE1, approval of consultants for 16-17 school year, Annual Care Behavior Management System Inc. SE2, approval of tuition transportation in special schools providing regular education for 16-17. SE3, approval of summer 16 employment of child 17 and special education personnel. SE4, approval of services provided by Bergen County Special Services for classified students for 16-17. SE5, approval of tuition paying districts for 16-17 school year. SE6, approval of bedside home instruction of classified students for 16-17. SE7, approval of required related services for classified students for 16-17 school year. And SE8, approval of tuition transportation for special schools providing extended school year education for 16-17. Have a motion for P19 through SE8.
So moved. Second.
Members of the board, questions, comments? Cindy?
I just have a question. I know we already voted on it, I'm not going to change my vote. P1 and P34 is the same person. What is the difference in what we are recruiting? Is it permanent disability, retirement?
I'm sorry, P1 and what?
P34. Right.
The first one is a permanent disability retirement.
P1 is permanent.
Yes.
So, okay. So P34
It's just a leave of absence from us before the retirement.
before the retirement. Okay, thank you, Lisa. That's it.
Brian?
P24, was that our decision or was that teacher position? We voted on this opportunity for that teacher.
Why are we?
She actually withdrew.
Yeah.
P27, those are the extracurriculars. I want to, although they're not here to hear the thank you, didn't get to them. I'd like, and I hope the rest of the board recognizes that those sums of money compared to the amount of work, especially with coaches and working with students outside of the classroom, that's really what makes a high school tick, I think, and staying in touch and being connected to the students and becoming great mentors for them on other levels besides that of being in a classroom. But to the money, it really doesn't work out to a lot of money per hour at all. So I just want us to recognize that they put in a lot of their own time and don't get paid very well for it. So really thank you for them for working on those levels and mentoring our young men and young women. Also, I have a question for P29P. Is this a relative of an administrator? I just recognize the last name.
It may be, yes. I don't agree. No.
But she is a central office employee though, technically.
She's an employee of the district.
It's either,
What's that?
No, it's not.
it's either she is or she isn't.
Not central, she's an employee of the district.
Isn't that provision?
No. Board members, superintendent, did we take it down any further
No,
to central
no, that's
office?
a old policy.
Principal? Okay, so board member, superintendent. Policy prohibits any of us from having anybody working full-time, or even 20 minutes.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Anybody on the other board members? Any members of the audience have any questions, comments? Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Barbarulo? Mrs. Frankel? Yes. Mr. Klein?
Yes, no on P29P.
P, like Peter?
P as in Peter and T as in Toronto. Tango.
Mrs. Piella? Yes, on everything, staying on P33. Mr. Quackenbush? Yes. Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Banta?
Yes. Okay, F1 school use, F2 discharge, F3 acceptance of gifts, F4 bills payable payroll, F5 bills payable, F6 approval of agreement for non-public school technology initiative, F7 approval of agreement for non-public school technology initiative, F8 approval of agreement for non-public school technology initiative, F9 approval of course offerings and faculty community school fall winter 16-17, F10 ratify the purchase of one school bus through Middlesex Regional Educational Services Cooperative, F11 approval of vending card services amendment, F12 ratify employee benefits consulting agreement, F13 rescind motion for equal local service agreement, F14 chapter 47 list of contracts. F1 to F14, you have a motion.
So moved.
Board members, questions, comments, Michael?
Joanne, is the phone system, the old phone system worth anything for anything?
We don't know, but we're gonna see if somebody wants it. I know if they don't make parts to support it anymore, but someone may wanna buy it. We used to
It's a big,
put the parts.
big system.
Anyone else? Police?
I just want to, after reading the acceptance of gifts, I want to accept them with gratitude verbally. And also, I just read an article, interesting one, because I get so distracted when I'm clicking online, about the Buddy Benches thing. And I think it's awesome that we have that, because I was going to actually.
What is a Buddy Bench?
It's like if you're feeling sad when you're
Oh.
outside, you can sit on the bench and
Oh,
somebody
okay.
will come over because they know that.
Oh,
that
yeah.
you're needing a buddy at
I
that
did
moment.
something like that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
great.
so, and also for the wood, I don't want to just that. Thank you, everyone.
Also would. There you go.
Oh, these schools that still
Oh, also
has,
would makes me think of Boy Scouts for some reason.
Because
Yeah.
we used to make like the cars.
The cars, that's, yeah, what do you call it?
So far, so good.
Yes, okay.
Oh, good times.
Yes. Very much.
Any other members of the board? Members of the audience, questions, comments? David?
F13, the rescind motion for, why are we rescinding the motion for the interlocal service agreement?
That was an agreement we had with the borough for services that they could use they could use, we would make copies for them or do some other purpose, and they don't use it anymore, so they wanted to rescind it. They don't use us for those services.
Thank you.
Anything else? Roll call, please.
Mr. Barbarulo?
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel? Yes. Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mrs. Piella? Yes. Ms. Quackenbush?
yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yeah.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Banta?
Yes. Okay, at this time, we're going to open up the floor to the public. Any questions, comments you want to make on any item, on the agenda, off the agenda, or winter school related, feel free. Yes.
I just have one question on that, as a
You mentioned that there was one position, a special ed position, not filled. Are you able to tell us where that is and what happens if that position is not filled before school starts? Well, it's in a preschool handicap position. And what happens is if we don't have somebody, we have to put a substitute in there until we hire. And do you get to choose a substitute or do you go through source for teacher? Well, either way, we would choose. We would choose. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone? Open the floor. Okay, now, board comments.
Yes, you.
Okay, Mary.
Okay, you've sort of been out of sight but not out of mind. I have been in contact with our new field rep from school board because we need to plan another board retreat in order to keep active our master board certification. Mr. Lee, I think his name is Lee, his first name is Lee. Anyway, the date that he has available is December 10th, a Saturday.
December 10th?
He had spoken about a date sooner, but then we agreed that it really should be after the election, because if you recall, last year, there were both re-elected people as well as people who have been newly elected attending that retreat. So the question is, can we move forward on that? And do you want to wait till I don't know, you want to email me back? Do you want to think about it now? But I need to give him, he's holding that date of Saturday morning, December 10th.
Does anybody have a problem or conflict on that day?
December 10th?
December 10th. You do?
What is it? Does anybody?
Yeah, no. Elise raised her hand and said she did, but
Apologies, all right.
you can't make it. We need 7. Elise doesn't come up when Elise is with 8. So, is that the only date he had in December? I mean, I don't want to go.
Only date, like Al often gave us a lot more.
Yeah, he would give us like 3 or 4 days, and Lee's only giving us the 1 day.
Maybe because he's new to us and trying to figure it all out or whatever, but the other dates that he gave us were all dates that were before the election.
When can we go then?
Yeah, Mary, when do we have to do it by?
Well, okay, we can do it later than that.
Well, can we do it in January and not risk losing our master board certification, or does it have to be done by the end of the year?
That's a question I can get back to him on.
I think we have to do it this year, myself.
Obligation with the superintendent search, remember? So we were okay there. All the work that we had to do for that took care of us for springtime. But I'd have to ask him, and I'm glad to ask him.
All right, well, I think I'd like Elise to be there. I think she'd like to be there. So why don't you talk to him, and then you can email everybody and let us know if there's another date, or if we have to do it, or if we can push it in January.
All right, I will be in touch. I will get in touch with him tomorrow.
Okay.
And we'll see what we can, see what we can do.
Okay.
Can I ask?
Okay, all right.
Yeah, Cindy wants to ask you
I
something.
wanted to ask you a question when you talked to him.
Yeah.
Last year at the county meetings, my firm was going out to New Jersey school board districts and explaining to them the CAFRA and the auditing process. I don't know why they didn't get into Bergen County, but they didn't. And I was just wondering if, of course, based on board approval, if that would be considered something that we would be able to use as part of our retreat to have a presentation done by them.
You know, I haven't even discussed with him what we could or couldn't do.
But I don't even know if,
We're
you know,
only
if it's...
trying to find the date. So that's a good point, Cindy, but we'll probably have time when I get back for that.
Okay. I was just wondering whether or not it was gonna earn us any credit. If it's not, you don't even have to give it a second thought. We'll just have to catch it.
But I was only focused on, a date with him. and trying to get a date. So yes, we can find out about that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mary, anything else? Mayor?
Not me.
Not you?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Jeff?
As legislative rep, I had met this past August with Senate Majority Leader Sweeney, Senator Sarlo, Weinberg, and Gordon, along with some other New Jersey mayors, where he was pitching his school funding plan, the one that was apparently already passed by the legislature, the one that it seems that the legislative body wants to pass. I do have some information on that. It's the papers and the conversation admittingly was somewhat ambiguous. They asked me to call their office. Sweeney asked me to call his office and get the specifics, but I wasn't going to really go forward and do that unless this board was interested in really hearing about it, maybe passing a resolution and trying to force our legislators into something, a school funding formula that is a little more equitable to fair law. I know that this one is probably in rebuttal to the governor's plan, so I didn't want to go further on that and pass judgment on that in this position. But if the board is interested in hearing about that and learning more, I can certainly ascertain that information and pass it along if you wish. If not, then I won't contact his office and, let's let that lie. The other thing is, after the meeting, I spoke to a couple of them, and then I'd spoken to our other legislators of the 38th District. And I was pretty succinct with them in telling them there are a lot of other things the legislative body could be doing to really help out schools, besides just the bigger items like changing the formula, and one of them, of course, being the very large percentage that we're beaten with for the increase in insurance and medical insurance for our employees. They said if I can come up with a list of things, they're happy to have a meeting with me and discuss them. It can't hurt. So I thought that if anyone wants to sit with me or the administration wants to sit with me and tell me what those items could be, I have a few on my list, but things that we could do to help our district out and to help our school financially out with the laws, I would definitely look forward to bringing them forward to them. So if you have any comments on that, go ahead. If not, then I'll just go at the list myself and drop the other thing.
Mike?
I attended the governor's forum that he did in Farallon because I figured that, first of all, if he's saying that he's going to drop taxes in Farallon by a couple $1,000s a household, and that he was in Farallon touting it, that I should, as a board member, go and figure out what he had to say. So, little did I know that they were going to put me right in the front, so I was right in front of him the whole time. What?
I would have loved to have that scene.
Yeah, it was an interesting scene. It was an interesting plan because he neglected to say a lot of things. He touted charter schools in Newark as succeeding and how none of the schools are, and Newark as a little bit of a success story. Never mentioned Patterson, which the state had taken over years ago and is a mess. Never mentioned. So my take of it was, it's great for him to say all this, but it would that it would never pass. I don't think it would ever pass the courts or anything else. And my personal opinion is, yes, they waste a lot of money in those districts, but the answer is to fix where they're wasting the money, not to take the money away, because that would be a problem. So it was an interesting thing. It was interesting. But my take on it was that he left out a lot of stuff, obviously, and was, doing his political thing.
Yes. Going back to Jeff's point, do we want to get details on the new funding formula? Do we want to put together a list and maybe, they promised to meet before and they've canceled on us more than once, so. Do we want to pursue either one of those in any way, Elise?
I think more information is always good, so he's just gonna get an email, that he could forward, you can read it or not read it, and be informed or not, so I don't think getting the information, if his office has a packet, we might as well get the packet and see what they're trying to do, because odds are, that's not the packet that's gonna go to the legislator anyway, it's gonna change a million times before, but it would just be interesting to see what they're thinking. And on the other thing, even though, I remember going and they weren't gonna vote for the nurses, and then they were gonna vote for the nurses, and then they didn't vote, they were there the night before, and they voted the next day and told us right to our faces that they were gonna vote in our favor because they really understand our position years ago, and the next day they went in and they voted, yes anyway to whatever they were voting on, but it was not for schools, it was just the opposite of what the schools were telling them, that they wanted, so, if we could get a list and even just have their ear for a minute to tell them some of the things, what are they gonna do with it? You never know, you know what I mean? So I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to do that as well. Whatever connection we have, I think is better than nothing.
Cindy?
Yeah, I would really like to pursue that as well. I think it's a good idea, Jeff.
Do we want to sit down as an ad hoc committee and do that, or just want to email me? Whatever the preference is cool for me.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we come up with some ideas of our own and email Jeff as a legislative representative? And then, you can look at it and say, well, this is good, this is bad, because I may throw something out, we can do that. Or, something may be really good, and let's make it a little bit more in detail. So why don't we just email Jeff in the next week or so?
Put democracy to work.
Put democracy to work, that's right.
I would like to see Jeff follow through on the funding formula.
Okay. All right. I don't want to read an 80-page bill. No. There must be some condensed version we can look at.
They don't read the bills.
Yeah, they don't read the bills either.
They don't read the bills either.
That's why they get passed.
Exactly.
You have to pass them to know what's in them.
Yeah, Mike.
What was that?
I agree that we should, anytime we can get the ear of a legislator is a good thing. It's a good thing for the board. I also, the one thing that I'm happy about with this whole thing, with the governors and with the legislators, is that at least the school funding formula is in the forefront, and people are just not ignoring it, and the inequity is out there. So that's a positive, I think.
Okay.
Okay. I'll move on. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have comments, questions?
Oh, good question. One more.
Well, okay, Jeff.
Is the board member, Paul, I guess, is the board member responsible for reporting cyberbullying if he or she knows about it within the district, even if it's over the summer?
Yes,
Okay.
if you're aware.
With whom would I
If
speak?
there's a, yeah, then you should report it.
With that.
I would say you speak to the superintendent.
Okay. All right. That's all I got.
All right.
Just a few comments. Put a busy summer for buildings and grounds, Joanne a lot. As you can see, we purchased a new bus, which we needed. The other one was going, the air conditioning, everything else, and we were due to do it next year, so we did it. But the best news is that we're on course. I just spoke to Joanne for TCO for the building at Westmoreland. They're on schedule, so we shouldn't have a problem with that. We're also going to be discussing other things at a buildings and grounds meeting. And I've been in contact with the PTO at TJ regarding some issues that they have regarding the sound system they want to install and everything else. So it's been a very busy summer as far as buildings and grounds. Everything's going well.
Thanks, Ron.
I had a couple of things occur over the summer also that I just wanted to let the board know about. I finally was able to visit the extended school year program and see what that was all about. And I happened to pick the day that the emergency services were at the school. And it was just so nice to see each one of their units. They had the police, the ambulance, rescue, fire, and the children were escorted by their teachers in very small groups, and it was just so heartwarming to see them look up to these community people and how they embrace them and don't instill a fear, instill a love. And it was really nice. And I also was in a classroom where I just saw the attendance being taken. And they had a smart board, and it's just 5 or 6 children. And I'm not sure exactly what their disability was, something with communication. And they had the names of the children, and they had to move the names from the one area to the other area because they were here. They were accounted for. And it was amazing. They took their names on the smart board, they moved it over, they knew the names, they knew the students. It was just really impressive. I was so moved by the whole day. And I also, after that, got a personal tour of the Westmoreland construction. I met with the construction manager, and he took me all around, and it's quite remarkable to see what's going on. I'm so impressed with what it's, I can't wait to see it done. But the construction was going along famously. There were so many people just working and working and working, and we just kept moving and moving, and I was really impressed. And it's beautiful. I saw the tile in the bathrooms. The media center is just going to be out of this world. I can't wait to see it. So I just wanted to let the board know that I was finally able to get to see ESY, and I was very, very happy and very impressed.
Thank you so much. Elise?
So the Community Service Committee, or almost 3/4 of it, met over the summer. We had talked about that prior meeting.
Community relations?
Community relations, right, community service, sorry. That's what we're doing.
That's
what we're
That's
doing.
my thing.
And we discussed like a bunch of things that we may be able to implement like in the future, this year. And I don't necessarily need to discuss it now, but one thing I thought that I should bring up right now was the official opening of Westmoreland School, because it was our thought that maybe to do that at their first PTA meeting. Like if we could arrange something, like if the school's open or their second PTA meeting, whenever it opens, rather than during the day, people trying to get there, but maybe do it when there's, other.
Yeah, because during the day, a lot of us, well,
people are working.
Yeah,
We
people
just
are
thought because.
Jones retired.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, that's fine, they can represent, but I just thought, they're,
No, I like that.
It might be a good idea.
We want everybody
And the other thing was, that, to feature a school at the board meetings, like at every board meeting, once the school year gets into full swing, maybe have a few students, or, we have the art up, or, maybe have a few students come in and play a song, or have a principal just decide what he wants to highlight. Maybe a couple kids will come in and read an essay, or talk about their experience on the math league, or something like that. Maybe spend like 5 or 10 minutes. Nothing crazy, but just because we have 9 schools in cases, we have, 10 meetings over the course of the year, maybe another the next one. But we thought that might to like sort of highlight each school.
Mhm.
And also to, other boards do this, where they have like a liaison person from the board that's like sort of attached, not necessarily to go to every event that their school has, but we should be notified of all the events. But to be the liaison, so if there's an issue going on at the school, they have a specific board member that they can contact, because that would be familiar with more of the things that are going on in their school, and that might be something to discuss at a community relations, like meeting up, if we, set a little time for that, like at a work session or something like that, to have that, a couple of these things as topics for the discussion by everyone. But I just wanted to throw that out there so people could think about, just being like sort of attached to the school, so if there's something going on, like a, PTA member or parent or whatever would know to, like, this is my board member, let me call and tell them, and that would be their ear to us, rather than a lot of people don't realize they have to notify us about an issue, not just the administration. If the administration fixes an issue, we might never know about it, so there's like, there's sort of like a little disconnect there, so this way we would, be apprised, and not, like, as a board every time, but at least there would be like an individual connection, so. That was something that we
I
talked
understand,
about.
I don't necessarily agree with it, but I
Okay.
understand.
Okay, but we could discuss that at
You can be sure.
at a further meeting. So,
It's nice to see that might be resurrected. I thought it was a good idea when we did it in the beginning, and I was very gun ho on it. I attended a lot.
Yeah,
I
I did too.
Yeah, I know, and I think it would be great to bring that, to resurrect that again.
Yeah, as the liaison for the community school, I just wanted to report that we met over the summer. We had a very interesting meeting, and we discussed new ideas and ways to make the community school more interesting for the community, possibly change some of the course offerings that they were having. But the brightest thing that came out of this particular meeting was that we have 8 applicants now for new membership, which we will be
Yeah, because we were
interviewing.
worried, it was
Like a miracle.
That's great.
And we will be interviewing them during September.
Okay, good,
We're off to a
that's great.
good start at this point.
There's one point, it wasn't just like you, and
We
you
were
were
just, one other.
And his imaginary friend.
That's great, Mark.
So, Mike's really been working very, very hard, and I want to give him credit. He's really,
Yeah, no, I like Mike.
he's really doing a great job.
Yeah, well, back to Elise, her comments. I agree with Cindy also. I think that'd be a nice thing to resurrect. And I think that will alleviate one of the kind of issues we've had on the board in past years, where we really didn't know about much, all the events. I'm sure, I still believe that we can have one large school Google Calendar that we could all be part of and know where everything is, when and where everything is happening throughout the district, so we can be a part of that. But, there has been, admittedly, there has been a disconnect between the board and a lot of the things going on in the district. And it's not that we all want to show up to or can show up to every single one, but to have that information and to allow the schools to know that they're connected to us also, I think is just as important of a component of that. I go to events and, won't, like, even the brochures won't even list the Board of Education, like we don't even exist. And I see that as a problem, not that we need to be put on a pedestal, I know that we don't feel that way. But I think we are important to the community, we do represent them, and there should be some recognition there. So I'm all for it. Also, the one school, one meeting, I think is a great idea. It'll help bring parents in, people can know what we're up to, and we can, again, connect to more of have an opportunity to connect with more of our students and more of the programs that are going on. And so, I know that we want to wait to discuss it, but I don't know why we just don't discuss it now, while we were here. So why not talk about it?
Well, we can discuss it, we can't vote on it, because it hasn't been, right, Paul, we can't take action on it.
Well, technically you could. This is not a regular notice meeting. This is not an annual notice, this is special.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. If it were an annual notice meeting, you could. It's not.
But it was adjourned, this was
Right.
last week, it was
Right.
adjourned to today.
Yeah.
So, okay, now you know.
Yeah.
Mike, and we'll go back to that.
All right, so I love the idea of I'm not necessarily for one school, one board member, because I think I have some issues with that. I am for a general calendar, as Dr. Gillespie says. I do feel that the board is left out many times on what's going on in the district, and if there was a general calendar, like Jeff said, it would be to our advantage to get out there, because it's hard. Because for example, I still don't know when Forest School's back-to-school night is, because they gave us everything but Forest School. So that's kind of just an example. I do think that most of the time we're recognized, and we're recognized when we're there. Every so often, I think just a reminder that if if they're writing the district administration down on a program, they should write the Board of Ed down, just out of respect for the Board of Ed. Just like they gave the respect to the district people. So, but I would rather hold the whole one school, one board member. I'd rather hold that for a work session or something.
I'm gonna have to agree with you, Mike. I'm not a big fan of one board member, one school, because I'm concerned that it's going to be seen as a way to bypass the chain of command. Oh, I'll talk to Gene. You know, he's at my meetings, or I'll talk to Rob. And I also don't want you as a board member, or me as a board member, to get too attached to that school that now you're the senator from TJ. So, and I'm not saying that's gonna happen, I'm just saying it's a possibility that it could happen. So I'm not a big fan of the, this is my school, this is my board member kind of thing. You know, listing us, the calendar, that's a good idea. I don't know what the technology aspect of it is, but I am sure that it can be done, that we can get the general calendar for everybody. I don't think there's a problem with that.
I thought we had asked Jeff to pursue that at one point. I don't know if it was at a meeting or if it was a
Well,
work
yeah, we
session.
talked about it. I don't remember
But I
whatever
don't-
happened to the
right.
Google
Right.
Calendar.
Right.
All I need to have everyone do is have a Google account, and you can use your regular email to do that. The calendar can be created, and the administrators can be put on it, and it can be or the district can create one large
You need a
calendar.
Google account, a Google email?
No, you don't need a Google email, you just need a Google account, which you can use, like I have a Google account through Jay Klein at fairlawnschools.org. I also have a Google account through my workplace. So you don't need a Google address to do it. And then a calendar can be created, and it's actually pretty simple, and then everyone signs up for the calendar,
And
and
how do you get the information out of the calendar?
everyone could add, like all the administration, or we could just have the central office or whomever have editing rights to the calendar, and they could just put it on there, and with the help of the technology, we can all get the calendars then on our smartphones added to our regular calendar, and, you know, reminders can come up for it and whatnot. It's actually,
I mean,
think-
I just want to say, right now, all of the calendars on the website can all be subscribed to. So if everybody went to each of the school's websites and subscribed to their calendar, to every school, you will get every notification directly on your phone, or your email, or your Outlook, or whatever it is. So we have the technology on our websites. All the back-to-school links are on the websites. And it's already there in part of the website.
All we have to do is go in and sign up.
You just go in and you click subscribe, and a little link will come up, and you can copy and paste it into
Well, that sounds like
your calendar on your phone.
Easy.
And the work is done at each school level, because they know it more than we know it in central office.
No, Ron hadn't seen it for a
Oh,
while.
I was gonna say, you can do, I'm believing I'm the last one, technology, but you can, I am, but you can do that. And also, in our next monthly meeting, I think it is, we usually get it in the back, which gives us a lot of the school events at all the schools. But I used to go, and I did it both ways, I did it that way, and then Burkett told me about it. So I go in there, and I go to each school, and I check on things, so, I mean,
This sounds something that we can facilitate at central office.
Yeah.
Well, we have administrative meetings coming up this week, and I can talk to the principals and supervisors about events that are coming up in the district. And we'll put together something, those are all good ideas, and get that out to you as soon as we can.
Yeah, Mary, go ahead.
Okay, yes. So I also have reservations about the one board member, one school, because I think that our focus has to be every child in every school. And so that doesn't mean that people can't go to different schools, but you know what I'm saying. The other thing is that in terms of the technology, so I'm just listening to all of this, of course, and some of you can attest to the fact that I am not an auditory learner, so it would really help if we would be able to come into the central office perhaps to someone who was gonna show us how to do this and get us set up, because at this point, we're talking, it's Greek to me. You're talking Google this and that account and this and that, and I.
What was that?
Seriously, because I don't know about the computers to my daughter. Because I took how to use a spoon, maybe some of you saw that.
Yeah, we saw that, yeah, I saw.
So I would be one that would need like a private instruction. But once done, once I get it, I think it would be a great idea for us, and I think we would really benefit from it.
All right, so Ernie's gonna look into it, central office and then the various schools, and he'll be back to us on, but there's nothing stopping anybody who wants to signing up right now. You don't have to wait, if you have the technology.
Yeah, I think we can come up with some solutions to propose to the board, and we'll put something out in an update for you.
Cindy?
I would like to, weigh in on the one board member, one school, and I totally can see your point, and you don't want that to happen, absolutely not, but I guess we would have to try to figure out a way so that we weren't having a quorum show up at an event.
You could have a quorum show up at an event, can't you, as long as you're not at an
It's a
event?
social
But
event.
what I'm
It's a
saying
social
is
event.
everybody's going, like, I would like to see that it's spread around, because a lot of times there's things on the same night at the same school, and that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that we can't have a quorum. What I'm saying is, I would like to make sure that if there is something going on in 3 schools, that everybody's not going to one and the other 2 are left dry. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I'm
I
sure
think
that those
there's a way we
logistics
could do
can be
that.
worked out, but I agree with you about one person, one school.
Mike?
I just want to go back to one thing. I think it was Elise that said, no, you're not in trouble. I think it was Elise that said it. It said something about, the board not knowing stuff if the administration has solved it. I thought that was the way it was supposed to work. That the administrative solution was supposed to come first, and if the administrative solution came, then we wouldn't necessarily know, because that's the way it's supposed to work. And where, like, after the administrative solution, people felt the administrative solution didn't work, that's where we would get involved. That's the way I understood the way the board worked.
Exactly.
This has nothing, everybody's taking a very negative view on that, on sort of.
I'm not negative. I want to get out to everything. I think we should.
Having like the liaison, you had done it when you were president, having, assigning everybody a school to go to events. It's really more for just involvement in that school.
Mm-hmm.
And, oftentimes we don't find out about things, and that's exactly what I said. If administratively it's solved and we don't find out about it, sometimes people don't feel that something was solved correctly administratively, and that is when they come to us. So this would just be another avenue for them to have a particular board member to discuss, that could come in and discuss.
And I understand that's what you want to do, but I don't
Or
necessarily think it's
they,
going
or
to
they
work that
can
way.
email everyone, as has happened in the past as well. Where they email, everyone gets an email, right? And then everyone can come in and say, hey, I got this email. But the one board member per school was more for, going to some activities if you were available to go, and being like a liaison person to a school.
I mean, if you know how the PTOs in the elementary school work, I think they're all held on the same, isn't that correct?
It used to be the first Monday
Every
of
elementary
every
PTO is operating at the same
Yeah.
night,
Right,
so
it's like the first
that's a
Wednesday
perfect
is the high
example,
school
is if
and the
one
first
person
Tuesday
was
is the
assigned to
elementary.
go to Windcrest PTO and another one, that's how the logistics would have to be worked out,
Right,
because there is many things on the same night. I know that's how it was set up when I was on council.
All right, Jeff.
I agree that maybe, I look at this from a very positive point of view here. If we have the one, and I understand the concerns, and that will happen. I mean, it's not an if, it is a when. They will come to that. But I think it's actually a great opportunity to actually reinforce the chain of command and to reinforce the way things should be approached. So when the PTA or parents or whomever does not know how exactly to address it, we as the representatives, the citizen representatives, can reinforce that chain of command, say, you know, this is the right way to do it, this is how I'm involved. And remember, we had the idea of making those cards, like the business cards, and on the back would have the chain of command. We can give them one of those. On your last resort, this is the chain of command, this is the way it's handled. And I think that allows things to be done more often in the right fashion and to reinforce what is the right way to work. And
there's another aspect too, you gotta think about it. I don't like the word assigned to a school. All right, I'm assigned to Warren Point, so now I have to go to everything. And then if you don't go, then you feel bad, and I'll be frank with you, I go to enough meetings. So that's another reason I'm not a big fan of it. If I go to a PTA meeting, I'll go. But, you know, we all have a life besides the board. We go to enough meetings between negotiations, committee meetings, work sessions, and now to add another meeting that we have to go to. And if you don't go...
I didn't say anything about having to
No,
go.
well, you said sign. So to me, that's, and then if I don't go, if I miss a couple of meetings, now you're gonna have an upset PTA that, hey, Anthony didn't come 2 meetings in a row, he must not like us, or he's disrespecting us. So there's a number of reasons I don't like it. And if we want to discuss it further, we'll put it on a work session, and we can all, you know, when we can think about, you know, all the things we just discussed now. And we can put on a work session maybe, you know, by the end of the year.
I'm on the messenger.
Well, we have to shoot you then.
No, don't shoot.
Oh, don't shoot the
Don't.
messenger. Oh, sorry.
And shooting is not a good metaphor.
Yeah, right, okay.
Gene, you've expressed perfectly my own feeling on that.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Any other board members, comments? No.
I have one more thing.
Okay.
I'm not sure if we're in the board comment part, right? We're not all business, new business.
No, but that's all gonna be one
it's
thing
all
now.
gel-
It's
It's
all
all
gonna be
gel.
one thing now.
I saw in my mailbox that I got some more information regarding the sign that we had discussed at a last meeting. Now, I think of the way we left it, it was going to be put on an agenda for buildings and grounds and finance
Yeah.
and special ed. Okay, all right, I just wanted, I'm gonna leave it with Joanne.
So you're gonna make it one big giant meeting for the big committees? Is that, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah,
I
we're
think
gonna
we
try,
would
yeah.
have
It's
to
gonna
do
end up to be probably the whole other thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, because you're gonna advertise and then anybody can come,
Right,
so.
right. Well, and maybe, I think it should be a committee, the whole, I mean, if there's 3 committees, we obviously.
Well, that's almost everybody, yeah,
Right,
so.
it's an advertised and everybody comes, so we all get noticed at this, you know, at the same time. So I'll just leave the information, and thank you very much.
And then Joanne can discuss it with the various chairs about, I don't know.
Right. And thank you, Mel.
Yeah, I know that the education meeting is not scheduled for November. I'd like to push that into October because there are just some things that need to be discussed and
Well, we'll,
move forward with.
Natalie and you be ready to do it in October?
That's what we were whispering across the table.
Yeah, later, not beginning of October.
Okay.
Remember, you have to stay away
Well, how
from,
about,
you have to stay away from the
Rosh Hashanah.
convention.
Well, the convention's the 25th and the
And
27th.
the,
I want to talk about that one.
and October 13th is the forum.
What about the week of the 17th? The 17th, the 20th is the public meeting, so it's the 17th. For education.
17th is fine, it's fine for me.
Okay, 17th, what do we usually do? Education, 7 or 7:30?
7.
7, okay. All right, Education Committee, October 17th, 7 o'clock. You guys will have,
What day of the week is that?
It's a Monday.
yeah, now I guess we're at the meeting.
Right.
Oh, all right, so I don't have a calendar for meetings, sorry. Okay, you make the meetings and then I'll
Okay.
figure it out.
All right, Ron.
We'll have a Buildings and Grounds meeting September 12th, it's a Monday, 7 PM.
That's the
Here.
opening.
Yes, it is.
What day of the week,
Opening of what?
September 12th?
Kindergarten.
Oh,
First day kindergarten.
what meeting is that?
Bills and grounds.
If you're on.
Yes, I know tractors.
Works for me. Are there any other meetings in our little meeting list, or do we want to move anything up, or?
I'm looking to try and get a shared services meeting, since we kind of put it on hold with the whole superintendent thing. So for October, but
Do we have any items to discuss with them, or?
we're gonna put something out there and see what they have.
I know one thing we're not talking about.
I know what they want to talk
Yeah, I know
about.
what they're talking about.
but,
Yeah, that's what the meeting's for.
yeah. I
right,
think,
so you're-
I think, you know, I think
There's
there's a little more of a because we haven't met recently.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a disconnect there. I don't know if it's just like, because we haven't talked to each other.
It was
lately.
funny, I had to go
So I
to
think
Borough
it's
Hall
time to just
for a
talk.
client to look at something, and I saw Jimmy, you're not here to see me, are you? I went, no. Look down.
That's funny.
Okay. All right, so you, Joanne will get in touch with Jimmy and let us know. And they're always here now, right?
Oh,
They're always
yeah,
there.
okay.
Cindy?
No, I
Oh,
don't.
they're getting in there.
No, I know.
Stretch outside.
I know.
Okay. Policy?
We'll do it in October. We'll talk about it.
Okay, so right now we just have the buildings and grounds at 12. The public meeting is going to be at the high school. We're going to meet all the new teachers, and that's the 15th at 7:30.
September?
Yeah.
We've got
It's
48
surprisingly
teachers
enough,
there.
the first
Oh,
time.
Lisa's already got it down in the science
I
about it.
think it's the first
I know,
time
fine
ever
with that.
that my doctor's school might have the same night.
September 15th there?
7 o'clock or 7:30?
7:30.
Thank you, sorry.
Lisa is going to take care of making sure we're not there 3 hours.
So we're still doing 7:30.
Wait, there's 48 new hires. Can we do it at 7?
I just said it, but you said she goes out back, so.
Oh, yeah.
I will, 2/7, all right.
The September meeting's long anyways, probably. Because it's the beginning of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, 7 o'clock.
I may.
Yes, Mary?
Okay, yeah, I think in the past, we've kind of, encouraged the administrators to not give us the whole life history of each of the 47 people and so forth. So I think we need to kind of just.
Well, I think Lisa cut it down last year, right?
Well, last year we very like 1 minute. They were allowed
And that's what we like.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna run a little, clockwork. So, and that's it for meetings for September?
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds like it's a song.
Okay, so, all right. We are gonna
That's fine.
recess in closed session. We have HIV, we have student matter. Is there a legal matter, people?
Just a brief.
Okay. So can I have a motion to recess in closed session?
So moved.
All in favor? I will 10-minute recess and we'll come back.
Good luck to all your kids.
Thanks for coming.
You're gonna call me back?
We'll call you back, yes.
Yes, okay.
Enjoy the rest of your summer, everybody.
I am going to get my cousin.
Let me know if it's too long.